Hi y'all, it's T. Jumping in before the cover with a few quick announcements. This is our 100th issue. We just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone for listening to Moon Harbor Heroes. We're about 10 months into our publication, and we are so proud of the product we're releasing. We've told stories of kids taking on oppressive organizations, fighting against the powers that be, struggling to balance life and relationships with these huge responsibilities. We have an exciting next wave of stories, so please keep listening. Over the next few days, we're going to be tweeting some of our favorite memories of the podcast, using the hashtag MHH100. Feel free to do the same. We want to hear moments that have stood out for you. As you may have guessed, we are skipping the Q&A we've been mentioning for the moment. We'll come back to it at a later point. It just didn't feel like the appropriate time to be doing that. For today's Storyteller issue, we're going to be putting masks on hold. We'll be back with our heroes on Wednesday, but since so many people skip credits, I wanted to properly introduce the game we're playing this week. We're playing Crossing the Seven Stars by Soup, a Korean-American game designer. You can find their work at literalsoup.itch.io or find them on Twitter at literalsoup. Speaking of today's issues, these two issues are expressly about lesbians pining for one another over lifetimes. Because pining is the goal, there will not be a happy ending at the end of these two issues. Our editor has suggested not listening to these while you drive, especially if you cry easily, because it is very gay and very emotionally intense. And I think that's about it. Enjoy listening to the issue, and thank you for helping us save the world.
Welcome to Moon Harbor Heroes. Today's issue is Storyteller issue 11, Thieves in the Night. On the cover, two women begin to dance on a ballroom floor, eyes only for each other and palms touching between them. Both women are wearing masquerade masks. One wears a lynx, the other a vixen. We turn the page, and our story begins.
We open this issue yet again on the storyteller's study. He is sitting, sorting through piles of mail, tossing magazines and such in the trash. He reaches down into the pile and pulls up an envelope. With a grin, he opens it. The readers see through his eyes an invitation to the wedding for Carlo Montiga and Lena Victoire. He glances up at the reader, almost surprised by their presence, then speaks, saying, "Some loves are strong enough to last for years, through laughter and pain, through sorrow and tears. Still others burn out in a blaze of glory, quick as the lightning, a tragic story. And then there are those that span through all time, eternal as hope, song old as rhyme. Of one such romance I'll tell you today, vixen and lynx, a love that will stay. Here is the story of these circling hearts, who, in each lifetime, start away and apart, but they find each other through fear and through fight. In this our first issue, Thieves in the Night." He reaches for a pen to sign the included RSVP. As he does, he nudges the mail aside with his elbow, revealing a copy of the cover we just saw. We turn the page, and our story begins.
Okay, so for our 100th episode, we're going to be doing something a little different. We wanted to highlight one of the games from the itch.io bundle for racial justice and equality, particularly a game by a creator of color. So we found a game called Crossing the Seven Stars, which involves playing games within the game, which will give us the opportunity to highlight 5 more games over the next few months. It's by Soup, who can be found at literalsoup.itch.io or on Twitter at literalsoup. So Crossing the Seven Stars, it's a 2-player game about clueless lesbians mutually pining for each other across lifetimes, unable to muster the courage to confess first. It's played over 7 lifetimes, with the final one containing the inevitable confession, and we're going to be playing as our favorite Moon Harbor lesbian couple, the Missing Lynx and Vixen. And we're going to explore how a hero and villain just keep falling in love with each other until we arrive to their present lifetimes as we know them. And we're also going to be bringing in a guest for each lifetime. And after this first lifetime for our 100th episode, we're going to be releasing one more a month as a special Friday episode. So speaking of guests, for this first lifetime, we have Alice Kira. You want to introduce yourself and got anything to plug?
Sure. Hi, I'm Alice Kira. Super happy to be here. I use she, her, and faith, her pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at magicalgirlkira, where I will shout about whatever I'm working on. Like I'll shout about this episode when it drops, I'm sure. Or you could go to my Masks podcast, Unlabeled AP, where you can listen to a bunch of trans people being super trans while also being superheroes. though the hero part might be questionable for my character.
Excellent. So, getting into the game, there's a short setup before each lifetime to introduce like who they are this time around, what the world is like. So we choose our names, pronouns, what we look like, and then we build this world we're in and a bit of like where we're currently at in this relationship. So I'm going to be playing the Missing Links, or her first lifetime, so not quite yet.
She hasn't gone missing yet. We know where she is.
Oh my god, I hadn't thought of that joke. So in this lifetime, her name is Leisha, and she is going by the hero robber name on Leisha, which means the Lynx in Irish. And her pronouns are she, her.
That means that I will be playing the phenomenal thief Vixen, who in this lifetime is known by the name Kiva, which is also Irish. So it's not spelt like you might think it is. It's Caoimhe, pronounced Kiva. But she's also known by the pseudonym Majraru, which is Irish for fox.
Oh man, now I gotta think of what they look like. But I guess that kind of depends, like, how we're setting this. Like, are we going more like old-timey robbers with this?
Well, you had said you wanted to do like a Robin Hood kind of thing, so...
Yeah, I'm 100% about that. And if we like set that in like a traditional Robin Hood like setting. So I think Leisha has like really dirty blonde hair that she wears like braided back, and she has like she has a face mask that looks like a lynx that she wears whenever she's out doing her Robin Hood thing.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, Kiva probably has like reddish brown hair that I think she has some sort of dye or something she puts in for when she's going out as Majraru to add that bit of disguise. And likewise, she probably has a simple reddish leather mask that she wears over her eyes, and she's got a fairly form-fitting leather rogue's outfit. Plenty of pockets to sneak little doodads into.
Ooh, hot. Oh god, I love that.
She knows what she's about.
Yeah, Leisha's gonna be all over that. All about that. So for what does this world look like if we're doing like Robin Hood and our places in it? I was thinking that like Leisha has a group that she works with, like a Robin Hood, kind of like the Merry Men group.
Okay.
They're also women. I was thinking it's called like the Cat's Claw, and they all have like a cat persona that they use as like their thief identity.
Interesting.
It's like there's probably one that's like a lion and like a tiger.
That's very cool. I think Kiva, when she's not out robbing the rich and giving to herself, has secured a position as a minor, more recent noble within the community. So she's just living the high life, going to fancy parties, enjoying the spoils of her labors, the spoils of other people's labors who have been stolen by the lords that she has then stolen for herself. It's a very complicated economic system.
Oh god, and then Leisha's just like out in the woods, like camping with her crew, redistributing funds to the poor, like roughing it up. And I was kind of thinking like they're like based around like the one town, like was it like the village of like Nottingham or something? Like not necessarily the same name, but like they're in like the same town right now.
It's the same basic thing.
Yeah. And then I do really enjoy this question. You each have a quirk the other finds charming. What is it?
Oh. So are we answering for ourselves, or are we saying what the other person's quirk is?
That's a good question. I think I know what Leisha would find charming in Kiva. I was thinking like she absolutely thinks that like you should steal from the rich and then give to the poor. But like she's also like kind of into Kiva just keeping what she takes. Like she can't explain it, and like logically she's like, no, that's bad, that's morally bad. But then like there's also the part of her that's like, okay, but also she looks really hot in a crown.
Oh dang, I just want to see her on a throne for some reason.
Yeah, I don't understand this. Why do I feel this way?
I mean, I can think of a few reasons, but we don't have to get into those here. I think that Leisha has a thing about stuff being in order. Like has an idea about what the order of things should be. And the rich should not exploit the poor. That's wrong. And that's what she's correcting. But also, that painting should not be askew. And she gets kind of flustered that Kiva finds very cute when she's trying to fix things that are not as she feels they should be.
Oh my god, I love that. Oh god. And so then the final like setup question is, how is it that you keep meeting like this? Which I think we've discussed is that we just keep robbing the same rich people at the same time.
I mean, yeah, it's a relatively small English town, village, whatever size is. So there's only so many rich people to rob, and you're bound to run into your rival because, unlike most Westerns, this town just really, really isn't large enough for 2 master thieves to run around.
Yes. Kiva never runs into any of the other Cat's Claw. It's just Leisha. And like, it's just like, this is an absurd amount of coincidences. And we don't know whether or not one of us is like finding out where the other one is going to go steal from on purpose to go meet up.
Yeah.
I feel like both of them have done it at least once, but neither would admit to it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So going into gameplay, so the gameplay is out over a number of scenes, which we set up depending on a coin flip, or in this case, we have a dice bot, so we're using a D2. So we both count down from 3 and flip a coin or use the D2, and then we both call either heads or tails, and the setting is based on the results of that. So, okay, you ready for this first scene?
Okay, do you want us to put what we're predicting down in spoiler tags so we can't see what the other person said? That's a 2.
That's even.
And we both said odd.
Oh, woo! So if your calls are the same and they do not match the result, your anxieties get the better of you. Discuss what causes you to drift apart. Oh, no.
Oh, this first scene. Oh, okay. Well, you said that we keep running into each other on the job. So maybe it's just gotten too much coincidence for either of us to be comfortable with. And we have a little spat one night while robbing someone.
Oh God, I love that. Like it's been like 3 times in a row. And it's just like, hold up, this is too much. Or maybe it's like it's been happening a lot, and then we get to one place that has this person's rich, but they don't have as much stuff as we were expecting. So it's like, oh wait, I mean, normally we like split it evenly, but there's just not as much stuff this time. So kind of fighting over like who gets what.
Well, I'm not leaving without at least 50 pounds worth, so you're going to have to make do with whatever's left after that.
And Leisha just like holds out her hands like around the room. There's like 60 pounds max. People need this.
And you will have 10 pounds to divide amongst the people. Look, that's quite generous. Do you know how many shillings that is?
Yes, like that's a lot for some people, but that's also less than you're getting for just you.
Look, I can't expect you to understand the amount of investment that I put into each of these excursions, but if I do not reap at least 50 pounds, then it's a wasted night, and I'm simply too busy to be wasting my nights. Especially since you keep coming along, sneaking in the windows that I've already cracked open. You're cribbing off of my work. If anything, I should be charging you for this.
You're just too busy for this? Like what else do you do?
If I detailed you all the intricacies of my life, then why would I go through the trouble of wearing this mask?
Ooh, that's a good question. Do we know like each other's like civilian identities yet?
I don't think yet, because I want to play a scene where we figure it out, because that would be good.
Okay, I like that. I just wanted to establish that. I think Leisha like kind of clicks her tongue and then like it goes over and like reaches her hand into Madraru's bag and pulls out like one thing, like one necklace. Just taking this one thing, okay? There.
Well, that was a good sport. Now, I best not see you next time I'm out on the job, because, frankly, that will be too much coincidence for me to ignore.
Well, don't worry. Now that I've gotten a decent amount, I've got a few days that I need to start cashing stuff out and handing it out to the villagers.
Yes, and you wouldn't want to keep those villagers waiting, would you? So you best, scurry along.
Why? Is there something else hidden in this house that you want to get for yourself?
Well, I certainly can't figure that out if you're standing here distracting me now, can I?
I'm trying to like picture. Well, I'm trying to picture like what room they're in, and trying to think like where else she would go to look. Like they're probably in the room that's had the most valuables. So maybe like the master bedroom. If this is like a more like a smaller noble. So I think we see Leah on Leisha just go over to the door, peek her head out, and be like, I mean, I can go look for other stuff. You said you needed at least 50 pounds, and I still have like 10 maximum.
And I think Majoru is casually ransacking this bedroom, definitely not deliberately leaving things just slightly out of place from where they were before, but almost certainly also purposely leaving all the furniture askew and drawers slightly open and be like, yes, go ahead, suit yourself.
So I think like on Leisha just like stands frozen in the doorway for a second and then like takes a step out and comes back in. Is just like looking back and forth. I think her lynx mask has it like covers the nose, but like the mouth is uncovered, and you could just like see her mouth changing like in frustration and just like oh god, I'm really torn. Before she like comes in and like straightens one thing and then runs back out being like, I'll be right back.
And I think Majoru chuckles as she runs out the room and, well, that's it for me, and heads to the window, climbs outside, and then she manages to close the window behind her and then lock it. If Leisha has to make a quick getaway, it's going to be frustrating.
Rude. Oh my god. Yeah, I think Leisha goes to like check out a couple other rooms and maybe finds like a few trinkets, but that's it. Goes back out to the window. We see her like clearly disappointed that Majoru is no longer there. Goes to the window. It's locked. And we just hear under her breath, damn it, Majoru.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. Okay. Another scene.
One.
We both said odd. Yay.
Yay.
So if your calls were the same and they match the result, share a moment of vulnerable intimacy that brings you closer together.
Do you have any ideas? Because I have one. I just don't want to.
No, if you have an idea, go for it.
I think probably like a week or two down the line. So they haven't run into each other for a little while, but then they're both in the same house when the Lord, who was supposed to be at a party all night, gets home early, and they have to hide in like a small room together waiting for him to like leave the study so they can exit.
Oh, I absolutely love that. My brain immediately went to like, oh wait, they don't know each other's identities yet, but it's like, no, that's past the second scene. Yeah, I love that. And of course, like Kiva knows the schedule of this dude because they're in like similar like rich social circle.
Oh yeah, no, like she had to feign an illness to get out of going to this ball, so he should not be home already.
Oh my god. Okay. Can I set this one?
Go for it.
So I think we see the two of them like kind of like taking a bit of a break during this robbery. Like they found like the ladies' wardrobe and are having like a bit of like a dress up party together. Like, ooh, this is cute. What do you think of this?
Absolutely. Yes.
Like, Leisha is not going to be taking like any of the nice like clothing or like keeping any of the jewelry for herself, but it's fun to try on. Why not?
Oh, I love it.
And like it looks a little bit absurd with like both of their masks on, but it's cute. So obviously they're both totally like to the nines in these stolen clothes and jewelry when we hear the door open downstairs and footsteps walk in.
Actually, I want to be like, they've both got, like picked out their wardrobe and put it on, and Kiva's is naturally perfectly fit and proper because she knows how to put on this high class regalia kind of stuff, but Leisha's is a little awkward, so she like moved over to go like, no, that's not how you button this. You have to proper lady dresses button in the back because they have servants to do it for them, and is attempting to help Leisha fix it when they hear the door open.
Yes. Oh god, I love that. And I think they probably like both freeze up for a second because I don't think this has happened very often. Shit.
Any chance that's one of your other cats?
No, we always tell each other where we're going each night so we don't double hit the same place.
Perhaps they thought you needed backup.
No, that's never happened. And meanwhile, Leisha is like looking around for a place to hide.
And Kiva's buttoning the dress from the back, like, carefully, because she has very clearly decided she wants to keep this and doesn't want it to get ruined, and is maybe putting on a show of being less concerned than she actually is about what's going on.
I think Leisha just doesn't try to get out of the dress yet. Got to find a place to hide first. Obviously, that's the logical thing to do.
Absolutely.
So I think she goes over to a wardrobe they've already been through and opens the doors and parts some of the dresses and is just I think there's room for 2 in here.
Kiva shimmies out of the rest of the dress and she's like, well, there's not going to be room for me out here, so might as well give it a shot. And covers the length of the bedroom in 2 bounding steps to slip into the wardrobe with Leisha.
It's totally technically big enough, but we're still really close together, and Leisha comes and reaches forward to close the doors and just pushes articles of clothing in front towards the front of the doors that we were hidden. Double checking, okay, are my feet covered? We're good. Kind of holding on to I feel like she's got a couple necklaces and holding on to them to make sure that they don't move and jingle or something.
Yeah, I imagine it's very much like that Futurama episode where Fry moves in with Bender. What do you mean there's not enough space? My apartment's 2 cubic meters and we only take up 1.5 cubic meters. They're very clearly fairly close to each other and can obviously still see each other because the wardrobe's open just a crack so they can get a sense of who's out.
I feel like this is in way back in the noble's day. There was often this wasn't the nuclear family where husband and wife slept together in the same bed in the same room all the time. It was the lord had a room and the lady had a room. So I feel like we're in the lady's room because obviously she had the good clothes. So it's whether or not whoever has come home is coming into this room.
Mm-hmm.
So if this lord and lady were at a party and they're home early, do you think it would have been both of them or just one of them coming back oh no, I forgot something?
I think
I think for drama's sake, it could always be at least the lady comes home and is getting ready for bed and needs to get undressed and having a servant put her clothes away, and we're just oh no. And there's just a lot of near misses.
Yeah, I was thinking either that or maybe they were both coming home because they forgot something and they don't know where it is. So they're bustling about looking for it. So we can't be sure when they're going to be where.
Oh, yeah. I think I like that because then with the other one, we would eventually have to sneak out while she's sleeping or something. So I feel like it's kind of quiet and awkward for a bit. I feel like these two have a relationship where they're just constantly talking and bantering back and forth. And we've never been this quiet for this long.
Oh, yeah. Majoru has never gone 2 minutes without saying something. And I don't think they've ever been this physically close, at least not for so long either.
Oh, yeah. The tension is palpable.
Oh, yeah.
But no, there's absolutely no tension. No, what are you talking about?
It's just stuffy in here. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And I'm probably smoothing out and folding the skirts of the dress I'm going to steal. Just very clearly focusing on that and not you and your shoddily buttoned kind of sort of half-dressed attire.
Oh man. And Leisha is kind of going from sometimes leaned up against the back, oh god, I can't be seen, but then also sometimes leaning forward, trying to put her ear up to the door, just trying to listen for anything.
The lady definitely comes into the room and then we freeze, and it's a very stressful long panning shot from inside the closet as we can see her shadow moving back and forth as she goes about the bedroom. But then she steps out the door and she's I just don't know where it is. Where could the invitation be? We're already late. And the Lord shouts from down the hall, can't make it out, and she shuts the door and goes bustling off.
And just this sigh of relief from both of us. I think at 2 points, okay, it's an invitation. It's nothing in the wardrobe. And then, oh, thank God she left the room. Whew, okay. Haven't had anybody come home before on one of these missions.
At least not while I was otherwise preoccupied.
Yeah, I gotta be more businesslike and focus on getting the stuff, getting out.
Mm-hmm.
That was you're having too much fun.
What's the point of doing this if you're not going to have fun, right?
To help the poor, to spread wealth, and because this dude's way too rich for his own good. But also, yeah, it is pretty fun.
Well, we can at least agree on some things. And I think we hear the Lord downstairs like, it was under the kitchen table. The bloody cat must have gotten it. And I just slam the door and we can hear the carriage leaving.
And there's kind of like this pause as like we wait another minute, just frozen, before slowly climbing out of the wardrobe. And of course, like we both try to leave at the same time, so it's like a bunch of bumping into each other. Just like, oh, sorry, oh god.
No, go ahead. That's
After you.
If you insist. And I'll like step down the hallway and call over my shoulder, like, you really should keep that dress though. Green is definitely your color.
We see on lecture like look down at it. Where would I wear this? I don't have a use for this.
Oh, I'm sure a resourceful girl such as you could find a use for it.
And we see on lecture like trying to undo the buttons and like get this thing off. It's too far above my station. Like I'm outside all the time. It's not practical.
Well, yes, my dear, that's where we differ. You hold yourself to a station which you were placed to. I choose to rise above it.
And then like I think we see on lecture like takes off all the jewelry too and like puts it in her bag and like hesitates with this dress, which she had like gotten ready to put back nicely because it's got to be just the way that she found it. And then just kind of like hesitates between putting it back and looking at the bag. And then like looks back at where Majoru just went, hesitates a second, and then she puts it in the bag.
Excellent. Good.
Oh man. Do you want anything else from this scene?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Looks like I convinced you to taking a bulky dress, which is not going to give you as much value as all the jewelry you could steal and fit in the same amount of space.
Who said she's selling it?
Oh, I would be devastated if she sold it.
No, obviously she's got to like wear it at some point, like way towards the end of this.
Of course. Let's make another prediction. That's a 2. And we both said even.
Hey! Yeah, so calls the same, match the result. Another moment of vulnerable intimacy that brings you closer together. Ooh, wait. Okay, I have an idea for this one.
Excellent, because I don't.
I think like it's been like a few weeks, and like they've probably run into each other like 2 or 3 more times, but it's been a lot more to the point. But meanwhile, in like the Cat's Claw, we've been like kind of looking outwards from like this village or town and looking towards others which are also suffering. So like we have to go help them too. So I think I get sent to like go incognito. I think like sneak into like a fancy rich party in that town and like see who the nobility are, try to get a sense of like what they do, who they are, where they live, like what are their schedules like. And of course, Kiva's there.
Of course.
But would she be there like as herself?
Oh, of course she's there as herself.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and then Leisha doesn't have the mask on either because she's going incognito. And oh, she's wearing the dress.
Oh yeah, no, Kiva is 100% wearing the dress she stole because she's the town over now and she doesn't have to worry about Miss What's-Her-Face seeing it.
Oh man, so then we both get to recognize each other. Yes.
Yes.
Oh man, so I feel like Leisha came with like one of the Cat's Claws had already like gone in and like not like stolen an invitation to the party, but like copied it and then put like Leisha's like fake name in it. Though I can't really think of another one, so I think it's like actually her real one. Like puts her name on it and just kind of like fakes it just that way. It's like, here, I'm invited. And she looks good. Like her dress is done well, hair is styled, like they had kept a few pieces of like jewelry from one of the last jobs to like for her to wear. But she's just acting like a little bit off. Like she just doesn't know the social mores. Like people are like greeting her and she just keeps making like a few like little like bluffs that I feel like people are very like, something's weird about that one.
Yeah.
And like eventually it gets to a point where she like takes a glass of champagne or wine or whatever they have and is kind of like off in a corner alone for a little bit.
I think that's when Kiva arrives at the party, fashionably late, before fashionably late was actually fashionable.
Because Leisha was obviously on time,
Oh yeah, no,
like
she was
on time
to the
for
dot. I'm gonna say they announce people as they arrive because I don't know. This isn't supposed to be historically accurate. It's supposed to be fun. So the announcer's like, Lady Kiva McCarthy of a small town where 2 people rob everyone. So Leisha looks up and she immediately recognizes the dress, at least.
Oh yeah, her eyes go wide.
She also probably noticed that Kiva seems very comfortable here and seems to know all of the social mores and is having no problem blending in.
Oh yeah, she definitely doesn't go up and approach for a while. She keeps her distance and watches and notices all of that. And I think from the initial bit where she came in, it was kind of noticing the dress. Oh, I recognize that. And then looking up at the face. Oh no, she's hot.
Does she do a thing where she squints at her and then she lifts up her hand to kind of block out Kiva's eyes and she's like, shit, it's her.
Oh yeah, totally. Just oh gosh.
What would she look like if I couldn't see what her eyes were like?
Yeah, just holding the hand up to shield her face, both
Yeah.
oh wait, don't see me, and also I'm really I'm blushing so hard, my face is completely red. So when does Kiva see Leisha?
I think we see Kiva glance over at Leisha after she decides to turn away, so that they're both in the we don't think this person knows that we know that they're there.
Yes. And then we're just circling around each other for the next at least 15 minutes.
And they have to meet in a dance.
Yes. I think Leisha gets asked to dance by some generic bland looking nobleman and is polite, accepts the dance. They dance. And I think it'd be fun if Kiva was doing the exact same thing. And it gets to the point where the dance ends and they just end up next to each other. And then another dance starts up and it's oh, shall we?
I was thinking it was one of those dances where you trade partners off throughout the dance.
Oh, yes, even better.
Yeah.
And the 2 men that we're dancing with are just so bland,
super generic.
Yeah. We're barely looking at them.
Yeah, so we kind of spot each other on the dance floor, and then there comes a point where your partner goes to hand you off to another guy, and Kiva just cuts in and takes your hand and spins you off.
Yes.
That's not how the dance is supposed to go, but it's how it's going now.
Oh my god, I love that. I feel throughout it keeps going to the male partners trying to spin us off to another guy, and one of us swoops in. And just no talking this entire time, but definitely some blushing, and looks in the eye I recognize you. Do you recognize me? This is mutual. We're doing this. Cool. Okay.
Oh, I think when Kiva swoops in to take Leisha the first time, she just whispers some basic dance instructions.
Yes.
No, you have to lead with your left foot. Keep your back straight. There you go. And then it's very simple. Just 1, 2, and 3. See, you got it already. By then they're separated until they meet again later.
Oh my god, I love that. Because of course, Leisha had been doing it totally wrong until Kiva comes in.
Yeah.
And by the time we get to the end of the dance, she's finally got it. And it's oh, that last bit was very nice. So what do they say to each other once they're in dancing and the song ends? Well, that was more fun than I thought a rich person's dance would be.
I must say you took to it quite well. You seem to have the grace of a cat. And Kiva winks.
I mean, with the way you kept swooping in when I was supposed to be passed off to somebody else, that was some fox cunning right there. I think somebody, some servant passes by with some drinks on a tray, and Leisha reaches out and grabs one for both of them.
Smooth. And Kiva will take it and say, would you like to have a seat? The first time dancing can be more exhausting than you might think. So she escorts Leisha over to a small table to the side where they can rest, sit out at least one dance before the next one.
Oh, yeah. And we kind of get a bit where they one of them will take a sip and the other one will open their mouth and just not say anything. And it's just awkward.
It's very awkward.
So.
You kept the dress?
Oh, Leisha goes beat red there. Yeah, I did. I thought we might need to do some undercover stuff. And so I knew it fit. Like immediately taking a drink to like use the glass to hide how red she is. And like, of course, she's also one of those people that like, if she drinks wine, like her cheeks just flush a little too. So it's not helping.
Oh gosh, yes. Wonderful. And Kiva smiles. She's like, well, I'm glad you did. Feel like you will find yourself fitting in at these parties much easier than you would have expected.
I mean, I don't plan to make a habit of it. This is a one-time thing.
Of course not. It's always a one-time thing.
You seem to fit in quite well here.
Oh, yes. Well, I made myself to fit in here. It's all I've wanted ever since I was a child, really.
To steal and steal and steal until you fit in here?
The stealing is just a means to an end. An enjoyable means, but...
I think, like, Leisha raises her glass at that. It is enjoyable.
And Kiva will clink her glass against Leisha's.
Yes! So it's Kiva when you're like this?
Has been for a few years now.
It suits you.
Thank you. And what should I call you when you are not prowling about?
Leisha.
Oh, that is a lovely name. Very fitting.
I feel like there's another, like, awkward minute after that. And then I think, like, Leisha gets to the bottom of her glass just in time for the orchestra to, like, strike up another dance. Shall we?
As long as you don't have any other pressing business tonight.
I mean, I am supposed to be socializing. And this is socializing, isn't it?
And I think Kiva stands and offers her hand out.
But if you know any, like, good gossip that we could use against anybody here, that would also be good to know.
Oh, my dear kitten, I know all the good gossip.
Oh, and Leisha gets this big, like, grin on her face as they go out to the dance floor and start dancing again. Oh my god, I love that.
Do you want to call it there?
Yeah, I like that.
It's a 2. And
Ooh.
that odd.
If your calls for the same and they do not match the result, your anxieties get the better of you. Discuss what causes you to drift apart. I like how we just keep getting the same 2.
Same 2.
And of course, the one that we aren't getting is the attempt to woo or impress. Maybe for this one, they like made at the end of the dance, they like made plans to meet up as themselves and just hang out as people. And like meeting at the dance had like the excitement of they're dressed up, they're out, and like they get to dance together. It's a party. But like just meeting up the 2 of them is a lot more awkward and they're not sure where they stand with each other. It's like trying to feel that out.
There also might be a thing of at the party, Kiva quite plainly said that she was robbing people so she could go to fancy parties. And that's it. So that might be just like nagging at the back of Leisha's head a little.
Oh yeah, probably. If they made plans to like meet up as themselves, where would they go?
Well, last time we met on my turf, so it seems fair to meet on Leisha's turf. Somewhere in a forest or something.
Yeah, like she definitely wouldn't bring Kiva to the Cat's Claw camp.
No.
That's a boundary that like she's not going to cross. But she
certainly would not try and say that 3 times fast.
Cat's Claw camp. But like she definitely like knows the forest pretty well and knows like some really nice areas to get to. So they probably like arranged to meet up on like the edge of town so that way Leisha could like lead her out there because it's like it's a little bit off the path, so might not be able to find it. And of course, like Leisha is dressed practically for this. She's got like man's shirt and pants. What is Kiva wearing though?
Kiva is dressed rich person practical, which means she has like a nice riding skirt instead of a regular skirt. Like probably boots that are sturdy but not well suited for hiking through the forest.
Oh yeah, and it totally like rained yesterday, so there's like a little bit of mud.
It's muddy, and she's kind of fussing a little about the hem of her skirt getting mud on it. And it's just...
like it's not too muddy, like it's a very bearable amount, but not if you're rich. Any amount of mud is too much.
I left this behind. Now I'm back here for you. Ugh.
Oh man. Leisha's there like waiting at the edge of town. And I feel like it's awkward immediately. There's definitely like the excitement of, oh my god, I'm seeing her again. Her. but it's still just like, oh, now I don't know how to start this. So there's probably like a few attempts at conversation coming from both of them that just like fall flat after a minute. And just like lots of walking in silence awkwardly. With, of course, like Kiva making comments about the wood or the forest.
Yeah, grumbling about, it's so dirty out here. And just like slapping away insects that are no doubt being a bother.
It's the forest. It's nature. It's natural. It's relaxing.
I don't feel very relaxed.
Well, I'm taking you to a more relaxing place then.
I will hold you to that. You know I will hold you to that.
Oh, I know. You will not be disappointed, I promise. And then I feel like it's awkward again after that for a little bit.
I think after a while, Kiva's like, come on, we have to be there by now. We've spent half the day looking for this more relaxing place you keep talking about.
Just a few more minutes. Like, we're almost there. I can hear it already.
If I had a farthing for every time you've said we're almost there, I wouldn't have to be stealing my way into nobility.
What? Who were you before? And then I think, like, Leisha, like, immediately, like, looks down and, like, I probably shouldn't have asked that.
I think Kiva, like, harumphs, and it's just like, who I was before is dead. And, like, trumps off ahead of Leisha, not knowing where she's going, but assuming it's just in a straight line. That's all they've been doing all day is walk in a straight line, so why would it be any different now?
Ooh, but then, like, you get past, like, the final, like, trees that were blocking the way, and you see what has to be the place that Leisha was taking her to. It's, like, this really pretty pond with, like, a small waterfall. Like, there's a short cliff that's maybe, like, 40 feet up in the air that has a waterfall coming off of it to this, like, a large pond. There's, like, all these rocks going up that look very climbable. There's some flowers. There's lots of just fun rocks in the pond itself that are fun to leap on. It's very nice. And of course, it's still a bit, not like steamy in the air, but like there's water droplets and like the light is shining on it just right. It is very pretty.
I think it's very beautiful. And we get a nice panning shot of it in all its glory. And then because Kiva is already in such a terrible mood and is now determined to be in a terrible mood, we get another shot of it in a less flattering view where it's still nice, but it's like a pond.
Oh no. And of course, like right after that is when Leisha comes like running through the trees and is like, see, we're here. Isn't this great?
And Kiva like opens her mouth to say something and then closes it.
And like Leisha has this big grin on her face and is like turned like excited to see Kiva's reaction.
It's something.
And then we just see Leisha's smile fade.
No.
Oh god, that hurts.
Oh. How did Leisha end up being the puppy? And Kiva's like, it's very nice. I just don't see why it was worth a half-day hike through that treacherous bog of a forest. And she like turns backwards and makes rude gestures at the forest.
God, I love that. I think we kind of like see this mode of like action where like she kind of like looks towards the waterfall where like there's got to be like one of those small caves behind the waterfall that you have to swim to get to. And like she looks over there and she really wanted to show this to Kiva. Ooh, this is my secret place. But like she doesn't show it to her. Kiva's just had such a bad attitude that she's like, oh, never mind.
I feel so bad. But we have to grow apart. That's what the
Yep.
scene is.
Yep. Maybe they can come back in another scene.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I feel like after that, it's a lot of kind of like more awkward talk before eventually they start to head back. Oh, no, I'm sad.
Yeah, like they're talking and Kiva's dusted off a rock and sat down and made a show of cleaning the mud off of her boots before the trip back.
Oh, yeah, and like Leisha was like finding like cool wildlife. Like, hey, look at this bird. Isn't this pretty? And then just not a good reaction. Oof.
We turn the page and see the storyteller flipping through a calendar. He looks at a date and nods, then turns back and says to the reader, "In our timeline, wedding bells ring, the lovers unite, the songbirds sing. But in a former lifetime, an encroaching strife threatens to tear them from the love of their life. Will they be one? I haven't a clue. You'll have to find out in our next issue." He moves to the desk and checks yes on the invitation to the wedding. He then puts it in an envelope and seals it, and our issue comes to an end. Moon Harbor Heroes is produced by Anthony Sheets, T.B. Huth, and Ellliot Peterson, and edited by Anthony Sheets and Sean Geddes. Anthony can be found on Twitter at IcyNewYear or at icynewyear.com. T is a theater artist and educator in the DC area. She can be found at T Huth Playwright on Twitter or TPHuth94 on Instagram. Ellliot can be found at Elliotylen, ELLIOTYLEN on Twitter. Sean can be found at The Crumpit, THECRUMPIT on Twitter. Our logo was designed by Beautiful Beasties. She can be found on Instagram at beastly.doodles or on Patreon at patreon.com/beautifulbeasties. Kiva, aka Madraru, was played by Alice Kira, who can be found on Twitter at magicalgirlkira. That's magicalgirl KYRA. Leisha, aka Onlinksha, was played by Ellliot Peterson. This Storyteller issue was played using Crossing the Seven Stars, a game about two useless lesbians mutually pining for each other across lifetimes, by Soup, a Korean-American game designer who can be found on Twitter at literalsoup or at literalsoup.itch.io. Crossing the Seven Stars can also be found in the Bundle for Racial Justice and Equality for those that may have downloaded it. The music in this issue is Midnight Tale by Kevin MacLeod. A link to his website and the license will be in the show notes. If you want to get a hold of us, email us at moonharborheroes@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at moonharborcast. If you enjoyed this issue, please leave us a review on your podcatcher of choice or tell a friend. 5-star reviews and word of mouth are really the best way for us to keep bringing these stories to more people. If you'd like to support us financially, check us out at patreon.com/moonharborheroes. Supporting us there will give you access to bonus issues each month. And thank you for helping us save the world. We'll see you next issue.